Hello, my name is Jim Vanatsky. I've been at Loveland for 20 years, my 20th year. I had 33rd year teaching and 38 years in coaching.
38 years, wow. What is your favorite thing about Loveland and why?
Loveland, I will tell, I brag on Loveland all the time. It's just got great folks. I mean, I've taught in some other schools where there's a lot more, let's say, issues. I mean, not that Loveland doesn't have our issues, but still, it's just a teacher's paradise. That's why a lot of kids coming out of college want to try to apply at Loveland High School or the Loveland School District. Just a great place to teach. Oh boy, I can't say I have a favorite because they've all kind of made their mark for different reasons in class, whether it be a government class or world history class. But a number of them were repeat folks. So, you know, whether it be a old Marine from World War II, came for 20 years and who was wounded 3 times in World War II, to, you know, one of the Doolittle Raiders who came for 20 years. He was awesome too. So probably the repeat guys, because you hear the story, you learn the story, and you remember the story. Those folks are, you know, you have to do a little logistics. I mean, you have to do some planning. I mean, you got to coordinate schedules, and bells, and our other classes coming and stuff like that. But with a few phone calls, a lot of those things can be worked out. It's just a matter of you might have to wait a while. So Governor DeWine, I met him at a track meet, talked to him, he and his son, who was on the Ohio Supreme Court at the time. And but then COVID hit, and then schedules, and it took a couple years to work him in. I've probably forgotten too many more stories than I can remember. But any story I may tell in class usually has a connection to something we're talking about. Some kids sometimes think that, oh, maybe it's off topic or not, but really there's actually a tie-in to what we're discussing. And you know, in this day and age, not that we're trying to keep kids entertained, but kids like stories. I mean, people like stories. They like to hear stories. And world history, a lot of classes I teach, I mean, that's really all it is stories. I love football, playing it, and track and field. And probably like anybody, if you're good at something, you end up kind of liking it. And because it gives you a little confidence, you know, it's like, well, I'm good at that. So whether it be any skills that anybody has. So that's probably why they were my favorite, just because I was good at them. But I had some good coaches, you know, that made major impacts on my life. So that was part of it. If you're in it as long as I have, and there's a couple of dinosaurs in the building along with me, that you end up teaching a lot of times a lot of different classes, particularly in social studies. So you've got your government, you've got, you know, civics and U.S. government, all the same classes. We've introduced some electives here lately in social studies. So those they're fun to teach, but they're a lot of work for the teachers. So I would probably have to say world history is my favorite. I'm a big picture guy. I think it's important to teach kids that are, you know, growing up in a certain environment. Hey, here's the big picture. So let's look at the whole world and see where we fit, you know, or what you're doing or what you want to do fits into the big picture. So I'm definitely biased to the 1970s. It's the era I grew up. I mean, I was born in the 60s, mid 60s, but you know, hey, you ask anybody my age, that was obviously the best music. But more importantly, with pop culture class, the 1970s we teach, and that was kind of the golden age of TV. You know, by 1970, everybody had a TV, but there was only 3 stations you could watch. So if anybody talked to anybody in class or on the street, we all watched the same thing the night before or the week before. So we had differences of opinion, but we were at least getting the same information, and primarily, mostly of it was unbiased. So today, you know, pop culture is dying rather a quick death because there's a niche for everybody. Like I said, did you watch this last night? Did you see this last night? None of my kids, not just a generational thing, but everybody's watching their own thing. There's a podcast for this, there's a stream for this, you know. So not everybody's familiar with the same thing that you're watching or that you're dealing with on a daily basis. So, but I would say the 1970s. There's a lot of things to talk about there. No, I guess I've just been around a while, which, one of your questions had to do with, well, how do you make all these connections with folks? Well, if you've been around long enough and you've moved around enough, like I've lived in Ohio on 3 different occasions, California, New York, Georgia, and Florida, and you meet all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. So that's really where the connections come from. You just, and the willingness to call somebody up, send them an email, or go talk to them after a speech and say, hey, would you mind talking to my class or whatnot. It's actually easier today now because you might not be able to get them to come to the school, but you can do a Google Meet or whatever in your classroom with somebody. So technology certainly helped from that perspective.